right, y'all, Rickey Smiley Morning Show. Man, a lot of stuff going on, y'all. The time right now is 13 minutes after the hour, y'all. Indianapolis police are making news headlines after 3 police-involved deaths yesterday. One of them you may have seen on Facebook Live. The news reporter Cameron Ridle joins us next. Joining us right now for what's trending on the Rickey Smiley Morning Show. So ABC, Indianapolis, and Radio 1 news reporter Cameron Ridle has been covering 3 separate incidents involving the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department. All happened within a 9-hour period. The one getting the most attention is the shooting of 21-year-old Rayshawn Reed. I actually saw that. He was live streaming the entire time. He led the police on a chase and the moments leading up to the shooting that took his life. Y'all give it up and show your love. Cameron Ridle, thank you for joining us this morning. Cameron, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Rickey. Good morning, everybody.
Hey, man, good to have, to be talking to you again. Listen, so it's not a good day involving the Indianapolis Police Department. Bring us up to speed on the 3 incidents that they were involved with.
All right, yeah, it's been a rough 48 hours. So like you said, this all happened in the span of 8 hours. The first thing that everybody saw was the shooting of 21-year-old Rayshawn Reed. He was the one who was on Facebook Live, shot and killed by police after being chased on the interstate and then chased on foot by another police officer. But then you mentioned 2 other things that happened in that same night. 23-year-old Ashlyn Lisby was walking along the highway, and she was hit by an IMPD officer who was headed into work. They said it was dark. It was 9:45 at night, and there were no street lights in the area. She was near an interstate. She was pregnant. She and the baby both died at the hospital. And then at 1:30 in the morning, not far from the first shooting, a 19-year-old Mikhail Rose came out of the house firing a rifle at police officers. They fired back, and he was killed on the scene. All of that in 9 hours the same night.
So do you think the all of the stuff that happened, like in Brunswick, Georgia, and then when this young man Rayshawn was live or whatever, it just kind of people just kind of feel like they need to defend themselves. That's probably why the young man was like shooting back at the police. It's just so many questions. Have anybody? Did y'all see the video? Brad, Eva, Gary. Did anybody see the video?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So what do you learn about Rayshawn Reed that might give us some insight on his state of mind?
Well, we're going to hear more from his family today because social media is the only thing that's speaking for him, and of course he's not here to defend himself. But the family is speaking with a high-profile attorney, and they may be coming out with more information about him and his character. But, I do have some friends who are friends with him, and they say he was a good kid, but, he was not perfect. He had some issues. He did some things wrong. However, that does not mean what happened to him the other day is what he deserved. Right. But with that said, people are upset because this is the second time this week we watched a black man get shot and killed on Facebook Live or on the internet. While the circumstances are very different, it's still traumatizing. The shooting in Georgia of Ahmaud, that was hard to watch. And then me as a reporter the next day, 24 hours later, I get a call saying we need you to go to 62nd in Michigan because someone was just killed on Facebook Live. It's traumatizing. And that's why when I went out there, I've been to a lot of these, but you had protesters, people coming from all around the city to see this because we saw it in real time. In the video, Rayshawn Reed told us he was at 62nd in Michigan. Everybody knows exactly where that is, so everybody went there. His body was still on the ground. And then all day yesterday, people protested throughout the streets of downtown Indianapolis from police headquarters all the way through the city. I was with them all day. And then even up until almost midnight last night, people were still protesting at the scene where he was shot and killed the day before. So people are upset. People are tired.
Cameron, hold that thought, y'all. We got Cameron Ridle, one of our affiliate Radio 1 personalities. We're going to be talking more with Cameron Ridle up next, 18 after the hour, Rickey Smiley Morning Show. All right, y'all, Rickey Smiley Morning Show. Real quick before we bring Cameron Ridle back on, I want everybody to go and join this group where you can get in there. You can challenge these people. They got a new website on Facebook called Justice for Gregory and Travis McMichael. So it's the folks down there in Brunswick, Georgia, they got a support group, right? So it says these two God-fearing men were only trying to protect their neighborhood. This area had a string of break-ins, and this man fit the description and did not comply with simple commands. That's how it's headed. I'm not shocked. I'm not ever surprised or whatever. This is what I expect. You know what I'm saying? I'm shocked when I get one of them to stand up for what's right. That's when I'm shocked. Don't ever be shocked when you see something like this, as stupid as racist as this. Be shocked when one of them stand up for what's right. How about that? That's when you be like, oh my God. No, don't oh my God over that. Because that's what they do. That's normal. You understand? So we got my man Cameron Ridle on. Cameron, now what were you about to say? We were talking about the state of the young man had some issues, and did they not taser him first and then shoot him while he was on the ground, from what I understand?
So here's the rundown, and we're going to learn more from the police department again today with another press conference. So originally, he was driving on the interstate at a high rate of speed. The two officers who originally saw him almost hit several cars were our two highest-ranking members of our police department, our chief of police and the deputy chief of police. Just happened to be going home in that direction, and he flew past them. So they kicked on their lights and chased him till he got off the interstate. And then they shut their lights off because they went into a residential area. They stopped the pursuit. Our chief of police and our deputy chief of police are two black men. Chief of police just came on in January. When they got into the residential area, they called off the pursuit. But, of course, officers were still on the lookout for this Toyota. A third police officer who was in the area spotted him, and as he pulled in behind a building at 62nd and Michigan. He hops out of the car and starts running. And then the other police officer, the third police officer, also a black man, is going after him, tells him to stop. At one point, he does deploy his taser. The issue is it takes two clamps on the taser to hit you for it to actually work. That did not happen. And then so the police say, and they haven't told us exactly what the order was, at some point they say Rayshawn fired at least one shot, and then the police officer returned fire, killing him.
So Rayshawn had a gun?
Rayshawn had a gun. And there's been, of course, a lot on social media. This entire thing was streamed on Facebook Live. So at some point he drops his phone. We never see him fall. We see his phone fall to the ground, and we're looking up at the sky. And then all you can hear are this numerous pop, 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 pop. So, of course, everyone's trying to figure out what happened when that phone dropped. And, you heard police officers in the background later. One of them said, looks like it's going to be a closed casket, buddy. And, of course, that has now gone viral. And then you had another officer who came up at the end who shut the Facebook Live off once they discovered he was still running on Facebook Live. The chief of police talked about all of that yesterday in the press conference. He addressed all the things that were being said on social media, including about the officer who made that comment. He said he would be disciplined. The officer who shut the Facebook Live off is not the same officer. And then he also talked about the gun. Folks said that the gun was planted. And the chief said the gun that they recovered is the same gun that has this bright orange stripe on it that you can see him with on his own Facebook page in a number of videos.
Wow.
Wait a minute. What is he on the
it's a lot. It's a lot.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Eva.
So you've been covering the protests, Cameron, and I can only imagine that the temperature in the streets are absolutely crazy. Like, what is the climate like in Indianapolis right now?
So yesterday, so when this happened the night before, folks immediately went out there to protest. And I've been to a lot of these, unfortunately. And usually the crowd is not there because when we see a police shooting, we see it on video days later or months later. That day, we saw it in real time. He told us, I'm at 62nd in Michigan. So people, as I went to the scene, it was near a church, and this church parking lot is full. And I was like, I know there ain't no church service going on. Those were people in the city pulling up to go to the scene and walking down there. And, you know, from that night, the emotions were extremely high. People were upset. But the police officers were on the other side of the police line. If you go to my Twitter page at Cameron Ridle, you can see all of the videos where I'm right there at the line. Police are on one side. They're in their riot gear. Police never moved an inch. The protesters were obviously very upset. But then even yesterday when we went downtown marching through the streets of Indianapolis, it was extremely peaceful. Of course, it was disruptive, but as the protesters remind you, that's the point, is to be disruptive. Those are inconvenience if you're trying to drive through. But it was extremely peaceful. A couple of police officers didn't get as nice a warm welcome if they were spotted. But I will say that the police department was extremely accommodating because it was just supposed to be a protest, and then it turned into a march. And the police just blocked off the road and let the protest happen. They never interfered. And I was there for 12 hours with it, and there was never a problem.
That is just absolute. And now the young lady that was pregnant that was walking, what are they saying about that? Did the police not see her? Or she was like, what's some of the details of that case?
So in that area, she was on a very busy street where there are no sidewalks, approaching an interstate, our 465 loop. And that's also a truck stop in there. So it's just not a place where people are walking typically. But they said it was dark. The street lights are out right there. They said she was in dark clothes. This happened at 9:45 at night. And the officer just did not see her and hit her. And she and the baby died at the hospital.
So, oh God. So, I don't even know what else to say, what else to ask. And have you heard anything on the case down in Brunswick, Georgia? Any new developments? Now I know that those guys had been arrested, and I was just telling everybody about the Facebook page that they made called Justice for Gregory and Travis McMichael. And I was just saying, go to the page so you can challenge some of the people. You don't have to go in there and be ugly and make no threats or nothing like that. But just you can make them just as uncomfortable as this page make us.
Well,
you know what?
Squeaky wheel gets the grease, Ricky, and that's what the protesters were doing last night. They wanted people to make sure that this doesn't go away. So if this happens again, that you don't forget. Because how can you forget when they're protesting outside of the mayor's office and the police department's office? That was the point. It's the same point they're doing with that website. But they took it to the streets in this case. But it's been a rough month for us because 3 weeks ago we had a black female police officer get shot and killed on our police department when she went to go respond to a domestic violence call. So it's been a tough couple weeks in our city dealing with death and the police department in one way or another.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, RTV6 Indianapolis and Radio 1 News reporter Cameron Ridle. Hey, man, hey, Cameron, you need to call us more. You're welcome to come on the show anytime, brother. I love having you on. Thank you for this insight. Absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate everything you do, man. Yes, sir.
Thank
yes,
you.
sir. All right, y'all. 25 before the top of the hour, y'all. More Rickey Smiley Morning Show coming up next.